welcome to Connecting Right.
Yeah, episode 2, Dave.
Episode 2.
Kind of exciting.
Right?
Yeah.
We're moving along with things. Tonight, guys, we have a few things to talk about. We have a very special guest with us, Laura Smith, who is running for governor here in California. Yep. She is the people's candidate. Also, we're going to get into a couple other little state things real quickly before we actually hit in on all the local things that are happening. And there's a few.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week.
Yeah, it has. Things have been crazy here in Santa Clarita, and we are going to talk about them.
Yeah,
but
digest it all and really get it all under wraps.
Right. But first, we're going to introduce Laura. Laura, thank you very much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So you're running for governor. When did you announce? How long ago was that?
I actually announced on January 20th
of
2017, and that was based on Trump's inauguration. I was actually supposed to attend, but I was convinced to run for governor instead.
It's probably a good choice.
Right.
Yes.
We definitely need it out here.
Right.
We do.
So what made you want to run for governor? What did you see going on in California that you thought that you could help fix, that you felt so compelled to throw your hat in the ring?
I saw the conditions of California. I saw the impact of poor leadership, corrupt leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And that is important in order to fix a state. If you don't get rid of that, you're not going to have a state.
Right.
And we're on the brink of falling off the edge.
Right. We are getting really close there. That's why they're trying to tax us up the wazoo and trying to recoup all their mistakes.
I think you could say wazoo. I think that's a good term. Okay term. Yeah. Cody Portop gave me the thumbs up on that.
All right.
I think, what are Laura, what are the biggest changes you want to see happen in California?
The biggest change that I want to see happen in California is our state get back to that fiscal responsibility. When Ronald Reagan was governor, some of the clips that I've seen after the fact of what he did for the state, where there was at that time, during that era, there was a $550 million surplus when he left office. I want that back here in California. There's no reason, absolutely no reason that we should be so bankrupt.
Right. Mm-hmm. And what they said that we had this huge surplus, and then all of a sudden they said, oh, there's an accounting error. We actually don't have all that money.
Well, I've done accounting, so I'll know where those errors are.
Yeah.
Good.
And I know how to correct them.
Right. So 9,000 companies have left California since 2008, and more are leaving along with residents. I think last I heard it was for every 4-person family that moves into California, 2 4-person families and 2 individuals move out. What can we do to make California more enticing to be able to stay here? Because right now, a lot of people and a lot of companies are leaving because of tax, the taxes, a lot of the restrictions that are being put on, like our rights, such as the Second Amendment. What can you do to change that when you become governor to make this a more livable state, to make people want to come back here?
Right. That is obscene and is unacceptable to not have the businesses in California, and to have so many thousands of businesses leave California in droves in such a short amount of time. That's just, that's not acceptable. What we are going to do once I'm in office is we're going to lift those regulations. We are going to tackle those things that have caused them to want to move to other states that are more appealing to them as far as the tax code goes. They're leaving to states like Texas. They are leaving to Colorado and Arizona and Nevada. They are more business friendly.
Yeah.
We're actually going to connect the two between another. It's a minor platform issue, homelessness, but it is also the most talked about issue that I'm hearing on the radio.
Yeah.
They're always talking about the homelessness in Los Angeles. I've gone to San Bernardino County. I see how run down it is from businesses having to leave. The whole place is like a ghost town. Put them to work. Make it work.
Make us a less impoverished state.
Yes.
Yeah, you go down to downtown LA and you go next to New York Times or LAPD headquarters, and it's just tent city.
Yes.
It doesn't, we keep passing these propositions to give money to these homeless causes, but it doesn't seem like California is actually doing anything with it.
Right. And that is another issue with the homelessness, the money to put forth towards these buildings, these structures to accommodate housing for them. What has actually happened with the mismanagement of our government officials in Sacramento is they have announced all this free money that they don't actually have to be responsible. The homeless persons, they don't actually have to be responsible. They just get to receive. So everything is a handout to them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that when I'm governor. Yes, they'll have the housing, but it's going to be in exchange for you have to work a certain number of hours. You have to put your effort into it too, and not just work at a company where you're earning money for your own self, for your own budget. It's you have to have some sort of method to pay back what you have been given.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be given housing, food, clothing, you have to pay that back.
That's something
That's not
in
for
exchange.
free. Yeah,
I like
it's not
that.
for free.
Right.
So what we're going to do is all these projects that I've been thinking about as I drive through deserted towns like San Bernardino, the mess in Los Angeles, Riverside County, I'm looking at real solutions to these issues that we're facing. If you eliminate the handouts, you're going to have less people gravitating towards them. You're going
Agreed.
to have more people going back to work and going, I can now sustain myself. If they want to talk about that, oh, these are families that are homeless. Oh, these are people just had hard times. Okay, so they did. I understand that. We've all experienced that. I have been homeless myself. I lived in my car for a while. I didn't get a handout from anybody. I went to work at 3 jobs. I was able to come out of that. So I know. So
Yeah.
having a personal relation to that, I know how to solve that issue.
Good. We have right now. We have people that are working in our state, such as Xavier Becerra, who
State Attorney General.
State Attorney General, who recently wrote up the title and summary for the gas tax repeal. Within this, he misled the people of California, as a lot of the Democrats in Sacramento are constantly doing, and manipulating us into believing things that aren't necessarily the way that they are. Such as the lawsuit objects that the title of the initiative makes no use of the words tax or fee, which that's what we're trying to repeal.
Yeah.
Right?
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and the title drafted by the Attorney General said it eliminates recently enacted road repair and transportation funding by repealing revenues dedicated for those purposes, when that's not what's happening at all.
No.
So what do we do to make sure that stuff like this doesn't happen? Luckily, we had a judge overturn this
Thank God for that.
and made it so that things are actually what they say. But what do we do in the future to make sure that we don't have the people that we have elected and people that we have elected have put other people in these positions, to make sure they're not manipulating us anymore?
Exactly, and that's why I want to restore the rule of law. Now, the rule of law doesn't just apply to law enforcement. When we go into the subject with Xavier Becerra, who I have also attended rallies where we have protested his town hall in Ontario, California. I saw him up close. I'm no good words for him. None.
Yeah.
As a candidate who is obtaining her constitutional law degree, I am offended, highly offended by his actions. Number one, he's not being ethical. Number two, he should have his law degree or his right to practice law revoked.
He should be disbanded by the bar
Yeah.
association.
I think
he
it's
should be
very
disbarred.
It's shady. I mean, really, that's the only word for it.
To sit there and write that verbiage and send that out to the voters and mislead them, no, that's not going to happen anymore. I'm glad that judge recognized that and saw it for what it was and what it is, and has turned that around. So I'm thankful for that. With him doing those kind of things, that's not acceptable in this state, and that's where I get into the government corruption and having him removed. You know, these are offenses where, in other circumstances, people would be jailed.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have all the corrupt politicians removed and jailed.
Good.
The career politicians need to have term limits.
Yes.
This is not acceptable, and there ought to be some sort of mandate in there that if you have been newly elected for a position, you need to finish that job before running for something else.
Right. And also, that something else that was, because we're going to kind of continue to tackle this, because I like hearing what you have to say, what you want to change, especially when it comes to things like Xavier Becerra and his manipulation of the California people. He'd also put in there that the ballot measure eliminates independent office of audits and investigations, which is responsible for ensuring accountability in the use of revenue for transportation projects. The only problem with that is that
He's the one being unethical. He's violating it.
Such an office, it doesn't exist yet. So he's asking for something to go away that doesn't exist yet.
They're creating a symptom to a disease that isn't even there yet.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one of your big things too, right? Is a lot of the issues that we have you call symptoms.
I do.
To the bigger disease.
Right. That's infecting everybody. Like the AIDS virus. Oh my God. That thing that's going on too. They're removing that from being a felony to a misdemeanor of infecting somebody. That's an assault with a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me. And speaking of deadly weapons, and we want to talk about guns, and they talk about gun control, there's called gun responsibility, not gun control. Law-abiding citizens are not usually going off half-cocked with their weapons.
Right.
Yeah.
Therefore, as a constitutionalist and upholding the Constitution of our Second Amendment right, that Second Amendment is our concealed carry permit.
Yes.
Which California, or not California, but LA County refuses to give to pretty much anybody unless you've physically been like shot before, or you have a credible threat against you that you need to really prove. So you need to get shot before you're able to protect yourself, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable. That's a violation of our Second Amendment.
Well, and yeah, especially since you can't open carry in California. So you can't open carry. You can't concealed carry. What are you supposed to do?
And I want to bring that back, actually, because when we did an event over in Carson, Nevada, Carson City, Nevada, they had open carry. Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
I
feel
was
safe.
No, I just the joy. You're looking around at people and they've got all their guns out there, and it's just like it's almost like euphoria. Okay, that's me. Okay, I like people's guns. I don't own any of my own, so that's interesting. People, like, what do you mean you don't own your? No, I don't. It's not a good idea for me to have any.
Okay.
Now I made that responsible decision. That's how I think about it.
That's part of being a responsible gun owner.
Right. I just don't want it.
Yeah.
But for other people and their rights, as the Second Amendment protects, they can have it. If they choose that that's what they want to have, they should have open carry. They should have their guns responsibly. As far as the corruption in this office with Becerra creating more symptoms and more problems for us, that's what we complain about. All these things that we're complaining about are symptoms. If we do not get down to the root cause of the ails of our state, nothing is going to change. And it starts not only with the government corruption, but it also starts with people's voting habits. I know they are disenfranchised with the voting system. I understand that they don't think that their vote matters. But here's the thing. I'm going out and I'm talking to people who have never been registered to vote just on the streets, and I'm telling them, you have the only opportunity right now to make that difference in California. Go register to vote. Go vote for Laura Smith for governor.
Good.
Becerra did something else that I felt was extremely stupid. So it's a typical day for him. But he sued Gatorade.
That's true.
Not a lot of people have heard about this, but he sued
Gatorade.
Because Gatorade had put out a little game, a little mobile game for your phones that, and it required you to dodge water to get Gatorade, and he sued them saying that it was a misrepresentation of water. Literally, it was a misrepresentation of water because in his eyes, he thinks that Californians are so dumb that they're gonna go play this game and be like, water's bad. I must avoid water now.
Brush my teeth with Gatorade now.
But here's the part that killed me: Gatorade settled for $120,000.
Which California is using to put it into some educational fund program to talk about the benefits of water, I guess. I don't know.
Whatever. Who is he to talk about misrepresentation in the first place?
Exactly.
The guy is off
that.
his rocker, okay?
Right.
And he needs to get out of the state immediately. It should be him leaving, not the businesses.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, we appreciate you coming onto the show tonight, and we look forward to see where you go in the future. We're looking forward to following your campaign and hoping for the best. When we come back, we will be talking. We're going to get into local issues. We're going to be talking about the Newhall School calendar issue. Flutes that have traces of bodily fluid, and also a local,
Not the good kind.
No. Also, a local pizzeria shut down their NFL subscription and had one of their biggest Sundays ever. So we'll talk
great.
about
Weird
that
how
when we
that
come
works.
back, right? All right. Talk to you guys soon.
Every year, thousands of local children, teens, and adults receive treatment at the Child and Family Center for depression, anger, anxiety, abuse, thoughts of suicide, and drug and alcohol addictions. Our professional staff provides outpatient services at office locations, in the home, the community, and on many elementary, junior, and high school campuses throughout our valley. If you need help, contact Child and Family Center at 259-9439 or childfamilycenter.org. Improving lives, one family at a time.
Drug and alcohol use can lead to troubles at school or work, relationship problems, financial or legal difficulties, medical and psychiatric issues. I'm Bob Sheritz, the host of the Way Out Recovery Hour, airing every Monday at noon. The Way Out Recovery Hour features prominent guests and organizations discussing the epidemic of drugs and alcohol in our valley. Don't miss the Way Out Recovery Hour every Monday at noon. Asking for help is the first step. There is the way out.
There's only one Santa Clarita plastic surgeon who is Yale trained and board certified, Dr. Justin Heller.
To be a board-certified plastic surgeon like myself, what that truly entails is about 5 to 7 years of honed surgical training in reconstructive, all areas, as well as aesthetic, so which means your facelifts, your breast augmentations, your body contouring, true training, and board certification. In fact, that's the only board-certified area that can be achieved in this realm.
Dr. Justin Heller, warm, understanding, always available for guidance because he's local. HellerPlasticSurgery.com.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
If loving arts and crafts shopping is a crime, we plead guilty. The 28th Annual Harvest Festival Original Art and Craft Show comes to the Ventura County Fairgrounds Friday through Sunday, October 6th through the 8th. You'll always find something special with more than 24,000 handmade creations from hundreds of artists. Bring canned goods for donation to Food Share and you'll get $2 off admission. Kids 12 and under are free. Visit harvestfestival.com or call 925-392-7300.
Your hometown station.
All right, welcome back to Connecting Right. We are
Segment 2.
Segment 2.
Of episode 2.
And yeah, we're gonna. Well, one thing that we're working on, so you guys know, is we want to do a lot more local stuff.
Yes.
So we have done that with this show. We did a little bit of state with Laura in the first segment, and then on these last 2 segments, we're going to be sticking with local issues. We want to, because what we really want to be doing is there's bias in the media, and we want to take that bias out. We want to just tell you what's going on here, the facts, and let you decide on your own. We're not here to tell you what to think. We want you to think what you want to think, and because that's the best way to do it. When the media tells you what to think, then we end up how we are on a national level right now with our media.
Yeah, except I think, me personally, I'm definitely going to say what I think.
Yeah.
That's just, but that doesn't necessarily mean somebody should think like me.
Right.
The world would probably be an awesome place if everyone did, but our country's better when people think for themselves.
Right. And everyone has their opinion. And like I said, we are going to have our own opinions, but for the most part, we just want to get the facts out to you and let you guys decide on your own. Anyways, so going into our next little part is going to be recently the Newhall School District has come under fire by parents because their schedule, their calendar is a bit off from the other 4 districts.
Yeah, and it's a little confusing because there are 5 school districts in Santa Clarita Valley.
Yes.
Hart High School District, and then 4 elementary school district. Currently, Saugus School District, elementary school district, has 12 days that don't align with Hart High Schools. Sulphur Springs has 15 days that don't align. Castaic Union School District has 2 days, and Newhall Union School District has 26 days that don't line up with the same days off that kids in high school have.
Right. And I got to speak with Christy Smith, the Newhall School Board president, and she gave me some information. And it's from what I got between talking to her and talking to some other people is that they realize that they're trying to figure things out to make it where it's best for the education for the kids, but this affects people that like when I my last 3 years of elementary school, my sister was in high school. We didn't have this problem then, and they're trying to fix some things, such as they're under the belief based on studies that the shorter the summers are, the better learning the better that the children learn.
They get more education.
Yeah, well, the shorter of a break, the more information that you
able to retain and learn. Okay.
Yeah, that's from my understanding. And so they're already working on fixing this for next year. They understand. They heard the parents. They realize that the concerns and the complaints, and they are working on fixing this for next year. So at worst comes to worst, it's a 1 year. It's a 1 year situation. You just deal with it and you move on. That's kind of what we do in life. Is when things don't go the way that we want, but we know that they're being worked on to be better. That we just sort of hunker down, just get through this one issue and go through it. But the one of the things that I have a problem with is a lot of parents are threatening to pull their kids on certain days for certain vacations and whatnot.
Yeah. And I think they are too. I saw there's a online petition with 324 parents that have signed it, saying that they will keep their kids out of school during those days that don't line up with Newhall School or Hart District School District.
And there a lot of the funding, pulling kids would affect school funding because there's the average daily attendance that they get it's $41 per student. And so if you add 300 something
well, that's $533 per child for the 26 days if they were to take them out.
Right.
If all 324 parents did that for all 26 days, that would equal the Newhall School District losing $172,692 a year, which is a lot of money.
And if they fix it, then that means it's a 1 year thing. That's a decent loss, though, to say the least.
That's a lot of textbooks. That's a lot of school lunches. It's a lot of extracurricular activities that kids aren't able to do.
Right, and so it affects. Like one of the changes that I know that they made was normally for Thanksgiving you get the Thursday and Friday off. You get the and so you go to school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Apparently, a lot of parents are pulling kids from that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday so that they could have a longer vacation when they go to visit family and they're doing Thanksgiving with them and whatnot. So they added 3 days on during the summer while they gave them those 3 days off, and that's one of the issues that they have. Now, one of the things is that we have 5 districts.
Yeah, that's a lot for our city.
Yeah, and they meet up and they try to get their calendar together, and based on what people from some other districts have said, they're not happy with how the Newhall School District Board handled this. I didn't get specifics on that. I just got because
general vibe.
Yeah. And this is what they said. They didn't want to really get into it. Yeah. They didn't want to get specific with it because they knew that we would talk about it.
Yeah. Our sources say.
Our sources. But it did, and so knowing that when I talked to Christy and when she said we are working on fixing this for next year, that I was like, okay, at least they're trying to do something about it. But again, we have really good schools out here. Yeah. People move out to Santa Clarita for the schools alone sometimes. And we've always had good schools. When I was here, we had great teachers, great classes, great everything that was going on, and we've had that up till today. So consolidating districts you got to tread carefully on that because I know that's been brought up by some board members of some of the districts saying that we should consolidate, we should have less. Fiscally, it would save some money. There's a dispute between a couple of them who say that it's going to save a lot of money, to some that say it would barely save any money. So I think that's a little more studies need to get done on that to figure out if that's actually a good resolution or not. But I just don't want us to become LAUSD.
I know LAUSD is so bad with all of the corruption that you have, and it seems like in California we have a reputation whenever we start making bureaucracy bigger. Or consolidating it, it gets almost more corrupt.
Right.
Which is a problem. So I'm kind of on the fence of that.
Yeah. So am I. And Christy even herself, and I know that this is for some other board members too. There are some that are pushing for it, but she's not. She's not opposed to it, but she's not advocating for it. They do understand how it can help and how it can how it can make things better for the school board, for the parents, for the calendars, for everything else that needs to get done. You're still going to have to, even though you eliminate certain areas of the districts, you're still going to have administrators for all those areas also. So you're gonna, and it kind of does make it kind of the big government thing, like we both said we are not on board with. So it does. So that's why I'm saying you have to tread carefully when you deal with this. It's sort of finding out a medium where we're not going to get to LAUSD crappy schools, but we're still able to not run into these issues like this where parents are threatening to pull their kids out of school.
So how about this? So one school district for high schools, one school district for junior highs, and one district for elementary schools.
There's a lot of elementary schools though.
That's true.
And so that's where the problem is that there's so many elementary schools that if we did come into one district, that's where I was saying that we're kind of hit that LAUSD thing. Maybe if we cut it down from 4 to like 2 or 3, maybe, or if you take one, like you said, make one for the junior highs. So you have the high schools, you have the junior highs, and then you have the but that means you're splitting William S. Hart also, because William S. Hart handles all the
So what you're trying to tell me,
highs.
Dave, is this is a very confusing and complex issue with no simple solutions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. That's what we're getting down to right now.
And so, and I mean, me and you, we're kind of hashing this out right now. We're just openly thinking and seeing. We obviously we're not school administrators.
No.
We're not board members. We're but we don't have kids that are in these schools either. But I want. One of the reasons that I love Santa Clarita is because we have great schools. We have there's a lot of great things in California or in Santa Clarita, and schools being one of them. And we care about those. I mean, there's a lot of kids that are being educated right now that we want to make sure that are getting taken care of, so they have the best opportunities moving forward in life.
Yeah, because the last thing we want is more stupid people in this country. Right. So I'm definitely on board with helping education in any way possible, and making it a little bit smoother on the families too.
Right. And we don't want this backlash. We don't want our schools losing money. Fiscally, our schools have done great. And some people complain about certain board members on certain districts because of their outside personal stuff, but they don't really look and see how great of a job they're actually doing for these schools, and continue to make our schools be as good as they are.
Yeah.
So it's something that we recognize there's a problem, but me and you, we don't necessarily have the solution. But I'm sure the solution is out there for somebody that's more versed in what's going on and what they can do to make this so that we don't run into these issues anymore. We don't have these threats from these parents.
Yeah, somebody who gets paid the big bucks can deal with this. Right. This does kind of bring us on to another topic involving the school districts.
God, when you told me about this, I almost threw up.
It's a little. There's a extracurricular program called Flutes Across the World, and apparently it's in multiple school districts throughout the state.
Right.
What they do is they pass out flutes, and kids decorate it, and you're supposed to make the flutes look fancy to use, and the kids go and play flute. I mean, you had a recorder when you were a kid, right? I mean, which are completely annoying.
I know, yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure I can still play hot cross buns.
Yeah. So what happened is as they were mailing these flutes out, the United States Postal Service got involved. And how I don't know how they came across this, but they realized that some of the flutes were contaminated with semen.
Oh. You're going to make me throw up again.
Yeah, it's... Yeah.
Oh, that's so awful. And It wasn't all the flutes. There were some flutes that were made out of PVC pipe and bamboo, and those were the ones that were contaminated. I know that people had like some Yamaha recorders and some other ones, and they contacted officials, and officials said no, those are fine. So that put a lot of some parents' minds at ease. But still, for the fact that this could happen, like way to go USPS!
How did they catch that?
Yeah,
I mean, by the way, is there a dog they trained for that?
Yeah,
sort of.
I don't know. I'm just glad they found it.
Yeah, and immediately, I mean, this news kind of broke yesterday. United States Postal Service contacted local law enforcement, the sheriff. Immediately notified the school districts, and I have to hand the school districts credit on this. Saugus Union School District and Castaic Union School District were the two districts in our valley that have been affected, and they immediately came out and said, this is what's going on, this is an ongoing investigation. They've been telling parents to go ahead and bag the flute in a paper bag, contact the sheriff's department to find out if they need them to drop it off, or a police officer, sheriff can come by and pick it up to have it tested.
Yeah.
Use
some tongs. Don't touch it.
Yeah, a rubber glove,
something.
Yellow dish glove or something.
Anything that you're okay with throwing away or burning afterwards.
I know. We contacted. I contacted Steve Doyle of what? I'm sorry.
No, you talked to David Powell.
I spoke to David Powell of the Saugus Union School District, who said that this is a terrible situation that is affecting many districts across Southern California. Our children's safety is a top priority of the district. We will do everything necessary to make sure our children are protected and have a safe learning environment. As soon as the district was made aware of this investigation, we immediately reviewed and are continuing to review all contracts to identify what sites and grade levels participated in programs offered by flutes across the world. We were able to communicate a list of sites to our parents yesterday. As a district, we are committed to providing all of the information we receive quickly to our parents and have a frequently asked question document that we are updating as new information comes in. Our superintendent also took quick action to temporarily suspend all events with outside consultants and contractors until further notice. And if you go on the Saugus Union School District's Facebook page, they have that frequently asked questions, and every question you could have about this incident is on there.
Right. And we were also able to get a statement from the Castaic Union School District Superintendent Steve Doyle. And their statement is, we were shocked to our core when law enforcement contacted us with the news. At that moment, we knew our course of action would be to cooperate fully with the investigation and to inform our school community. It was terribly difficult to share the news, especially since we, too, have so many questions. Other than sharing the facts, there are simply no words that we can offer to explain the unthinkable. The allegations are disgusting, but we made a decision to err on the side of open and honest communication with our district family. On behalf of the staff, students, and families, we urge law enforcement to be vigilant with their investigation and to take swift and appropriate action. And we're really hoping that they do.
I do have to hand the school district's credit for being upfront with it all and saying, look, this is going on. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's gross and awful, but the transparency's there, and and we need a lot more of this transparency.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I mean, this broke just last night, I believe.
Yeah.
So this is still less than, it's probably about 24 hours old. This story, and so it's there's still a lot that's going on. We're going to learn a lot more, and we just ask that people don't. I mean, it's really hard not to, but just don't overreact and start coming up with your own ideas. Do with what the law enforcement says. Do with what they're asking you to do with the possibly contaminated flutes, and let's get through this together as a community. And I know there's a lot more schools in just our community, or a lot other schools than just those in our community were affected. But let's try to just get through this calmly and hope that whoever committed this vile act is caught and prosecuted.
Executed. Just flat. I mean, just, you know what? At that point, let's bring back the guillotine.
Right. For this, I might be okay with that.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that.
Oh, and let's work and figure out what we need to do in the future to make sure that when we're dealing with people, that they're properly vetted in a way that they're not going to be able to make this happen again. It's awful. It's gross.
All right. We're going to take a quick break.
Yep.
Let everybody kind of
Digest that.
You said it. I was like, should I say this? I'm not going to. I'm glad you did, Dave.
So,
and when we get back, we're going to talk about a local business that decided to stop broadcasting the NFL.
Yeah, and also a little piece of information that's fairly new out there that I just learned about today. That I learned that a lot of people don't know. But
some breaking news.
Yes, in the 38th district race, there was Dante, who's currently our assemblyman, Christy Smith, and then another gentleman by the name of Ben Pack, who was gaining a lot of ground from the Democratic side of things. He is no longer a candidate. He has decided to move in a quote-unquote different direction from what I'm told.
So he packed up and left?
Yeah, yes.
That's his new ex-campaign slogan.
So he was from Porter Ranch, so it's looks like it's, as of right now, it's going to be back to the Christy Dante battle again for assembly in 2018.
Oh, excellent.
So anyways, we will be back shortly.
Yeah.
Come join me, Arif Halby, for Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Every Tuesday at noon, we uncover ways to help you manage your money, get out of debt, and prepare for your retirement. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Are you not sure if you can retire yet? Listen to us and learn about tips for savings, retirement strategies, and so much more. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour on your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS.
If loving arts and craft shopping is a crime, we plead guilty. The 28th Annual Harvest Festival Original Art and Craft Show comes to the Ventura County Fairgrounds Friday through Sunday, October 6th through the 8th. You'll always find something special with more than 24,000 handmade creations from hundreds of artists. Bring canned goods for donation to Food Share and you'll get $2 off admission. Kids 12 and under are free. Visit harvestfestival.com or call 925-392-7300.
Drug and alcohol use can lead to troubles at school or work, relationship problems, financial or legal difficulties, medical and psychiatric issues. I'm Bob Sheritz, the host of the Way Out Recovery Hour, airing every Monday at noon. The Way Out Recovery Hour features prominent guests and organizations discussing the epidemic of drugs and alcohol in our valley. Don't miss the Way Out Recovery Hour every Monday at noon. Asking for help is the first step. There is the way out.
If you see a traffic problem in our valley and would like to let us know, call the traffic tip line at 298-KHTS. That's 298-5487. Please use voice activation speed dial for safety. 298-KHTS.
Hometown.
Traffic report, simple news, weather, and lots of music. They pretty much play everything.
Your hometown station.
All right, welcome back. We are going to discuss something that we touched on last week, and it actually became a much bigger deal than I even expected. Yeah. It's the NFL protests. We've had as of last week, or actually technically the beginning of this week, so I can say last week. DirecTV started offering refunds for the NFL Sunday ticket if you stated that you wanted to cancel because of the flag protests and the national anthem protests. And a local business here took advantage of that because strong Republican, very nice lady. I met her on Friday. Got to speak with her a little bit. She's the owner of Vincenzo's Pizza in Saugus. She's now working with a couple of other local conservative businesses also, which I was happy to hear. One of them being our friends over at Commando Military Surplus.
Yep.
But there was, when something like this happens, you're going to have a bunch of people saying this is great for business and a bunch of other people saying this is awful. This is going to be terrible for your business. You're going to lose business. The first 3 days after they made the announcement, they were busier than they'd ever been on those days. Then they announced that on Sunday, today, that 15% of all their profits would go to I believe it was
Nine Line Foundation's Wounded Warrior Project,
and
Gary Sinise's foundation,
and the Gary Sinise Foundation.
Nine Line. I'm currently wearing one of their shirts.
I got Trump. Usually, I'm always wearing a 9 Line, but I'm doing the Trump singles thing
Wonderful
today.
foundations, by the way.
But yes, and they had one of the busiest They had the busiest Sunday they had ever had since she had purchased the restaurant. So that means that there's quite a bit of money. And, they you recently, you just did a little interview with I believe his name is Christian over at the Signal. And they interviewed you, and they also interviewed another somebody who's on the other side of things.
Yeah. Well, I the day Vincenzo's announced this, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go get a pizza. Don't judge me, it was Hawaiian, so I'm definitely a fan of pineapple on the pizza, Dave.
Weirdo.
Whatever. You can direct all hate mail at Connecting Right radio station. So I go in, I order the pizza, and I asked the guy, I said, what's going on with your NFL ban? I came here just because of that. And the kid, he's a 17-year-old kid, tells me, there were a couple people mad. They called me on the phone and, called us here and basically yelled and called us racist. I'm thinking, of course. This kid's not even white. He's like a 17-year-old kid trying to make some extra money to take his girlfriend out on a date or whatever.
Right.
And you're going to call and scream at him because his boss made a decision?
Yeah.
And call him a racist?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
So, here's a quote from one of the person from the Signal, the lady that did the interview that's on the other side of things than you are. This is meant to bring the discussion of what's happening to men of color and to people of color. If that's what has to be done to get this conversation going, then that's what has to be done. Now, before these protests happened, I was fully aware that there was injustice for some minorities in our country. I knew that there was things that we definitely need to work on. Racism is not dead. It's
kind of been a pretty ongoing issue for the last 250, 300 years.
And it's in some aspects it's gotten better. Some aspects it's sort of been stagnant and stayed there. But I mean, it's these protests. This is what's so ridiculous to me is that people know what's going on. It's not like people are like, oh my gosh, really? Or these people being
There's
treated
social
unfairly?
injustice in America?
Yeah. No way.
I had no idea.
This is insane.
Thank God I turned on the NFL and wonder why the guy's kneeling.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Colin Kaepernick, I would have been in the dark. And it's like we know what's going on, and we even and then we did a little thing. I made this little event for Connecting Right, and it was blackout the NFL October 1st, and we put a little money in there and set it out and
into the Facebook world.
Into the Facebook world,
and the interwebs, the Googles,
right,
the internets,
and we had about 350 reactions to it. We had about 200 something people that were either quote unquote going or interested, and I think we had about 176 shares, and then a bunch of people commenting. And now all these people had made their decision on the NFL before. I have a real hard time believing that anybody decided that this season, when this was already happening last season, decided this season, oh, I'm going to change now. I have a real strong belief that those people that didn't agree with the protest but were still going to watch the NFL were disagreeing with the protest and still watching the NFL. The people that weren't going to watch the NFL because of the protest were not watching the NFL, and the people that didn't care, and were watching the NFL. There is, and just reading these comments is very interesting because honestly, for me, I don't like that that they're doing the protest. But it's not
because you are a big football fan.
Oh yeah,
and I know it's difficult.
Very difficult. Yes, it's very hard. I'm sitting there. I have my wife's telling me like if I just look at a score real quick on my phone, she's like, "You're not doing the blackout." Like knock it off.
Smack in your hand.
Yeah. But it's hard. I mean, I look forward to football every year. There's people. I have a bunch of friends that are hockey fanatics, and that's all they're talking about right now. They're like October 5th. That's the first Kings game, and they're all excited.
It was last night.
No, home game.
Oh, got it.
It's for a regular season game.
Got it.
They're still preseason.
They played the Ducks.
Yes.
We kind of segued off.
Stupid Ducks. Anyways. But and I know there's other people that aren't watching. I know there's people that don't. I have a friend who was he's an Army veteran. He hates that they're doing this, but he's as much of where I'm also a fantasy football fanatic, and he's just as big as one as me. And I wasn't really watching today. I was too busy, so I didn't even get to watch football even if I had the chance to. But I'm getting texts from him all day with him telling me what's going on. And 3 of his players got injured, and he's like, my season's lost. It sucks. It's now and he's not even talking about And I know that Fox News or not Fox News, Fox the stations that were showing the Fox stations that were showing the games, they didn't even air the national anthem this time. They were just like, we're getting out of it. We're just not going to deal with this. But back to
you know how you prevent injuries, by the way, in football?
Don't play.
Well, you don't kneel. I mean, that puts a lot of strain on your knees.
Right.
Yeah, kneeling definitely causes more injuries in football.
Yeah, and the Raiders are one of the team that's doing a lot of kneeling, and Derek Carr is getting beat up.
Yep.
I know that they're not doing well, and there's actually a radio show, I believe it's called Armstrong and Getty, and they actually accused the Raiders front line of kind of playing soft and letting Derek Carr get sacked.
Yep.
He only got sacked one time last season, and that's when he broke his leg, and that was at the end of the season. And we're in this is week 4, I believe, and he got sacked 4 times today. He got sacked, I think, 3 or 4 times last week, too. So it's either the O-line sucks or they're actually doing this. But Armstrong and Getty came out and said that they're intentionally doing this because Derek Carr stood up for the national anthem. So if that's what's really happening, that's kind of disgusting that you're allowing a human being to potentially get injured. They could potentially lose their career, and you're just doing it because they stood for the national anthem. That's awful. But I'm getting off track. There's one thing that I did want to talk about. So they're talking about the social injustice. That's what this or the injustice for minorities. As this woman said, men of color and people of color.
POC, I think, is the
is that the
POC term,
the principal PC way of saying things?
Yes.
But Michael Bennett of the Seahawks has been a big proponent of these protests, and recently he was at a club and he had an interaction with the police, and he went on the record saying he was racially profiled and that this wouldn't have happened if he was white and this and that, blah, blah, blah. It was all, that because he's black, he was treated this way. Well, the security footage came out from that night, and what had happened was it was right after the McGregor fight, the Mayweather-McGregor fight. He was in Vegas at this club, and there was an active shooter situation. So the music got cut in the club, and they said, we have an active shooter situation. Everybody please get down. Everybody in the club got down except for Michael Bennett.
So the one time he's not kneeling.
Yes.
Okay.
And he runs. So if you're a police officer and you go into a potential active shooter situation and you tell everybody to get down and everybody gets down, you see one person running, your initial instincts are, that's probably the shooter trying to get away.
Right there.
So it had absolutely nothing to do with him being racially profiled. It had to do that he was an idiot who didn't listen to the police and just get down. If he would have just gotten down, everything would have been fine. They would have done their sweep. Nothing that it was. I'm not sure if it was a false or if the active shooter was over or what exactly had happened, but nothing had happened inside the club as a result of this active shooter. But except for him causing problems and then blaming it on racial issues when it was really just him being an idiot who wouldn't just listen to the police instructions.
It's just I hate the divisiveness of it. I mean, even today you saw Marshawn Lynch got to the stadium and he's wearing a shirt that says "Everybody versus Trump."
Yeah.
How that's so mind-bogglingly divisive. You're going to blame Trump for dividing the country. You're wearing a shirt that's saying it. And not to mention, I mean, the guy makes more money than God. He obviously can't afford a belt.
No. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. He was wearing gray underwear today.
Yeah.
And it was,
definitely
and nobody had any chance of not seeing that.
Which makes sense because the guy does have a felony weapons charge, and I know the reason he got busted was because obviously where are you going to put the gun with you don't even have a belt.
Right.
I think probably just fell out.
Yeah. So, and it's there's there's a proper way to do things. There's a proper way not to do things. Right now, I don't see any results of an NFL boycott, and that was kind of what we did that thing about. I don't see any results from people kneeling. What I would like to see.
What's the solution?
What I would like to see, I would like to see President Trump invite a handful of these protesting players to the White House for a discussion, that they can talk and they can say, here's what we want to see happen, and what can we do to help it, and what can we do to convince you to help us, where we can have a productive conversation that can actually lead to something productive happening.
Yeah.
Because boycotting the NFL and kneeling during the national anthem isn't productive. It doesn't do anything. It lets people. It's virtual signaling. That's all it is. And
again, if they want to really make a difference, then how about you sit out the whole game? Put your salary on the line.
Yeah. So sit out the whole season. Wait,
yeah, I mean,
until something's done, you refuse to play. You refuse to play football. But then they lose money, and they're not okay with that.
Yeah.
They want things done, and they want other people to do it, and they want to continue to get paid while it's happening.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the best solution right now is for Trump to meet with them, have a conversation, open the dialogue, and let people move on. I mean, I don't like the idea that we've turned the national anthem into something that's politics. It shouldn't be.
No. It's supposed to be national. It's just supposed to be pride for our nation,
yeah,
and for
you
our
stand
soldiers,
up,
and for everyone.
You
that
stare at the flag. I mean, this is
sacrificed.
what you do in America.
And if at any point, if he does, let's say Trump does invite him out, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, we're not going to go meet with Trump. Now it's on
50-50,
them.
50-50, yeah.
But that's on them. You know, if you want to see changes happen, then you have to show up and you have to do something. You can't just because you don't like the guy who's in charge doesn't mean that he's not going to do something to help you out. You know, and he might be able to do something. Who knows? I mean, I'm not a fortune teller. I can't see into the future and say, oh, this is definitely going to work.
Your crystal ball, your metaphorical crystal ball there.
Yeah. So I just think that there's there's other productive ways of handling the injustices that are happening in our nation, besides disrespecting people that are of color, the people that you're trying to protect, and you know, they're over in Afghanistan and Iraq, sitting there being like, really, you're kneeling for me?
I've been kneeling for like 15 hours straight with
in 120 degree weather.
Yeah, like come on.
And so it's there's
okay. So what are the odds you think that they would actually accept the invitation?
I believe that there are some. That there's some good thinking people out there that are protesting that would say, you know what, this is what we wanted.
Okay.
And they're going to go. I think you're also going to have some dumb as rock idiots who are out there and who are just like, nah, man. Yeah, there's lots of things that I could say that I'm not allowed to say on radio right now.
Okay, and then what are the odds that the majority of them wouldn't be able to pass the the Secret Service background checks?
Oh, see that? Yeah.
I mean, it's like, well, let's see. You've got domestic assault charges, gun charges on this one.
Yeah, it's gonna. There's gonna have to be a heavy pat down.
Yeah.
Happening for him. But I also don't think that these guys, no matter how dumb they are, I don't believe that any of them are dumb enough to risk their lives and careers for this. No. I mean, these guys love their money. That's why they get paid so much to do what they do, to get these. You know, there's brain injuries out there, and the CTE that's happening, and one of the new rookie running backs who's really awesome. I heard he tore his ACL today. So you know, there's things that these guys are going to put themselves on the line for, and they're going to need that money to take care of themselves. Apparently for this. So these as some people call them, entitled millionaires.
Yes.
So, well,
that's about it.
Looks like we're coming to an end here.
If you're interested in Laura Smith, it's laurasmithgovca2018.com.
Yep, long but useful.
Yes. Also, be sure to download the free KHTS app on your iPhone and Android devices. I'll get that right one day. Now you can listen to KHTS wherever you are. You can also access KHTS news, social media, listen to Dave and I.
Yes.
And more. Available on your Google Play and App Stores.
Yes. So we'll be back next week with some more fun and interesting stuff. And until then, please be good and be careful with your